What's up, everybody? It is another wonderful night. Welcome back to a Cantina Hour where we are going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again, number 3, episode 3. We're going to recap it. We're going to spoil the heck out of it. And if you haven't watched it yet, trust me, I'm sorry. Come back, listen to this. It's going to be up on podcasting platforms like tomorrow. So come hang out. But in the meantime, man, go like, subscribe, follow, share on everywhere you can find Hops Geek News. For number one, we're like 3 away from 1,000 on YouTube where we're live at right now. So if you want to help us out, that would be kind of cool if you ask me. But typically, beer of the week, and I'm going to go with a King Gong from Benchtop Brewing. I got one for Lauren too when she comes and visits. I picked this for Wilson Fisk actually he's the king, but right now he's not acting in his best interest, and this looking weird King Kong looking guy is kind of high, I guess, and maybe
you could say they both are destroying New York.
Yeah, there you go. That it worked better in my head, but that voice you hear is Lauren. So I'm going to go ahead and what are you drinking over there?
So I'm drinking a Finback beer, which Finback is in New York, and it is called Every Night. It's a double IPA because every night that Daredevil doesn't put the suit on and go fight bad guys, people are getting hurt. I have it in my other half glass, which is another New York brewery.
Oh,
shout out to
Tracy.
They are because it's got
like
the skyline, so it's very pretty.
They
are.
That's
what I'm drinking.
Vanessa, when I was a boy, New York's skyline didn't look like this. I'm gonna save the city.
Well, it had the Twin Towers.
I know, God. Oh man. So yes, I'm going to share some stuff on social medias real quick, but we are going to be going live, or we are live. We're going to be spoiling the crap. Jesus, my head. I don't know where it's at. So Lauren,
why don't you change it to my thing like warning?
Why don't you go ahead and kick us off with a quick little simplification recap, if you will, of episode 3. What happens in this episode?
So at the end of episode 2, we saw Daredevil find that witness to get his client Hector Ayala off, who we find out is the White Tiger. And of course, 2 cops show up and they're just going to straight up kill Matt. And so Matt has to go full Daredevil. And that was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scene. Didn't want to fight the guys. He does fight the guys. He takes them down. And then you just see him screaming. So the main premise of this episode was the trial for Hector Ayala and trying to get him off of the charges because he did not intentionally kill this guy. A fight ensued. He tripped. He fell off the platform, got hit by a bus. That is terrible, terrible, terrible way to die. But Hector Ayala was trying to do what was good. So that's what they're going through all of this. And they have the witness. They get the witness there. But of course, he's seeing all these cops. His heart starts pounding. He gets really nervous. He's scared if he testifies against the cops are going to come after him. So he decides not to do it and doesn't do it. So they have to figure out how to fight this case to still get him off without that witness, literally the only witness. And so they do something.
Cannot get a witness.
But I had mentioned this last time, like he had tried to suppress the information that he was a vigilante. But I was like, but this is showing true to his character that he's trying to help and defend people. And that is what they did. Although I find it interesting that he's like, I wasn't going to do that, but I had to do it. But you had the White Tiger mask just there. And he's like, he's the White Tiger.
No, he said he wasn't going to do it, but then he brought the mask as they were probably all sitting there talking and deliberating.
He should have told him that beforehand, but whatever. That's just, it's
yes, but that wasn't going, that didn't get the people going the way, okay.
All theatrics.
It's for a reason. All right. Yes. So essentially this episode, I just want to say we are just funny humans because IGN basically put a thing out the second this episode ended, and not to call anybody out, but I'm calling them out because they're just so routinely negative.
I think they're the ones I unfollowed after they were talking.
They're awful. Wolverine. Yeah, the second that this episode airs, they were trashing it, saying it was boring and off. I was like, did we watch the same episode? And people are complaining about it being slow and the week to week format is killing it. I'm like, you people are never satisfied. First things first, it's just insane to even think about. But I personally, that was one thing I loved about the Netflix series was the fact that they really leaned into some of the courtroom drama. And I think that's something She-Hulk could have done better. And so the fact that they really kind of lean in, the director essentially said they were having this whole series is going to be tied together, but 3 mini arcs throughout basically. And that kind of happens in this. The first 3 arcs are all about Matt killing Daredevil And now, essentially, you rolled your eyes at that.
I did because I hate it.
I do too, but for hero's sake, for story's sake, Daredevil is dead to him, and now he's being tempted to bring it back, and this might just be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because as we kind of
Yeah,
see,
Hector gets a not guilty.
he gets the not guilty, and we also have these guys. They heavily focus on the Punisher logos on these guys' neck, which is very, very interesting. We're going to get there very, very, and at the very end of the episode, again, we see a figure point
That is
blank.
not Frank.
No, that is definitely not. There's no way this is Frank Castle.
Hell
If
no.
people were like, what if it is Frank? There's not a
No.
chance in hell this is Frank Castle. Point
Then they
blank
went completely
shoots.
off character. No.
Yeah, and it really, shocked me. I'm going to be honest. I was shocked. Like the episode to go into, the tree frogs, the Kokwi
Oh, the
tree
cookies.
frogs, and it was just I
That was
sat there
nerve-wracking.
stunned. And I think what this series is doing particularly well right now is we started off with a massive death in the beginning of the series, and now we have a very unexpected death. Now I know White Tiger in the comics dies, and we'll get to that. But it's making me feel as though nobody's safe, and it could happen anytime, anywhere. So we expected White Tiger to probably die. We didn't know that it was going to be at the end of the episode so sudden the way they did it. It threw me off guard, and it has been really since Game of Thrones, in my opinion, since I've truly probably felt, wow, any character anytime could die or be hurt or something could happen to them, and that's what they did for this episode. So how did you leave
Dexter used to have
feeling?
moments.
Used to.
I absolutely loved 1 and 2. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love this episode. I did think it was a little
Okay.
slow, but I don't like courtroom dramas. I
Well,
think that
okay, that's because you know a lot of the law. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
but I
It's like
feel
me
like a lot
watching a
of it
military
is
movie. Yeah,
unnecessarily drawn out, and, like, obviously, they wouldn't have gotten a trial this quick, but I get why they do that when it's not a movie and it's a TV show. You have to move it along. You
I
gotta
know
keep
our cop
I
friend
get that.
got his neck broke in the next episode. He's looking real clean, like just some bruises on his face.
Yeah, so, I mean, some of the stuff I do get, and with She-Hulk, though, I didn't have an issue with the courtroom stuff because it was superhero law. It was totally made up. Everything was not real. So they
Right.
were, tapping into this new industry. And I actually thought it was a really kind of cool twist that was like, okay, well, we need to be able to police these superheroes. And obviously the Sokovia Accords did not go as well as they had hoped.
Yeah.
And so, you got to police them. Like the one lady from the new Asgard that was, turning into different people. That was funny. And, how do you sue that person or make sure that person's criminally held criminally responsible for their actions. So I actually like that, whereas this is serious courtroom drama. And I liked how they did it in the Netflix series because it wasn't about the courtroom. That was always secondary. This episode, him being a lawyer is like his main personality right now, and I don't like it, and I know it's temporary. And this was this was the first episode ever of Daredevil
She
where
does.
he didn't fight anybody.
Actually, that's true. He didn't fight anybody. It was
Wait, what
kind
did
of
he have? Oh, does Lauren get
our friend Andrew there says as
Yes,
long
I
as
don't
it
like watching
frustrated.
courtroom stuff.
Yes, she does. She doesn't like, and I get it.
My cousin Vinny is an exception.
He doesn't fight anybody, and I understand that it can be frustrating. We've only got 9 episodes. We came to see Matt in his suit, if you will, beating down criminals,
But
but
it will be better when we get there, and I
it's
get
going
that.
to pay off. I liked this because it shows that Matt is truly trying, and then also it really had some big
He's lying to
ramifications.
himself. You'll be
But
surprised how much you don't miss it.
it had a lot of
Someone needs to go to
ramifications.
confession
So
because you just lied.
I mean, he kind of did go to confession. I really liked that he sat in the courtroom alone, reminiscent of how he would sit at church or listen in on the church sermons alone. I thought that was a pretty cool correlation and parallel that they drew there. But he's trying hard, and the fact that he outed a fellow vigilante, and
Yeah, that was a bold move.
he didn't give White Tiger the option. He just did it without consulting anybody. And that's going to have massive ramifications, like with Wilson Fisk, for
And
example,
he
in his
knew that Fisk had issues with vigilantes.
And again, he, not for nothing, but Matt got Hector killed. Let's be honest.
Well, he did tell Hector not to put it on again. So I'm going to say it was a little bit of both. But Matt's going to carry that guilt, and he's going to feel responsible for that.
Of course he is. And
But think how livid he would be if somebody had done that to him. I mean, Wilson
Right.
Fisk knows and didn't even do that to him. And now
Yeah.
his attorney is supposed to have his best, like, you still have to, like, do what your client wants. Well, not break the law or anything, but, like, you still have to take that into consideration, and if he had rather chosen to be in jail than to have that out there, like, that was his choice.
Yeah. I agree. And it was so this mother effer, if we go back to my little notes here, ignore that. I don't actually have a picture of him. I'm sorry. We'll get to him in a minute. There's
Aw.
this really heartfelt testament, and shout out to this actor who, you know, just absolutely gave it his all in these scenes. And I know the director talked about how he was sick. They didn't know what was going on, but
Oh, they didn't know when they were
no,
filming it?
they didn't know
Aw.
what was going on, and he pushed through and everything. But that stupid rat bastard who they got as their witness, and for him to get up on there, and I'm curious. I think it's people are wondering if they got to him. I think it's more the fact that he was sitting in this courtroom and there was all those cops looking at him, and he kind of feared, so that's why he didn't flip on the cops. What is your take on why the guy who was getting beat up,
I think he was just
didn't
scared. I
flip?
think that's all it was. I think, yeah, he looked at all them and he knows that they're gonna be coming after him afterwards. And I think all these cops with the Punisher logo, I think they're just seeing, like, Punisher took the law into his own hands and was killing it was dextering them. That's what he does. But the
Right.
problem is these cops are only seeing black and white. And I think Punisher
Exactly.
only sees black and white, but he's very much so black and white. Like,
Is
he
that
wasn't,
because he has a white skull on his black outfit, or
But I guess he does his homework like Dexter. Like, he's not going after somebody that doesn't absolutely deserve it, where these guys, they're they even said it, like, a cop died, they want
I
blood.
think,
They
you
don't
know
almost don't even care, who's actually responsible.
yeah, in the most realistic anybody who says superhero shows, movies aren't realistic, I just would like to point to New York City Police Department being corrupt in both TV and show in real life. And then aside from that, the amount of thin blue line cop wearing people that adopt the Punisher skull, not knowing that the Punisher actively hates cops and everything that whole thing.
But I think that that's a nod to the reality of the
Well,
situation
it's
with,
also a
like,
nod
old new
to,
Disney.
Ed Brubaker's Supreme arc that we talked about last week, how Frank Castle discovers corruption within the police force, and then his immediate response is to slaughter them, while Matt Murdock tries to expose the truth for legal channels.
That's my immediate response with everything. I'm just
I
gonna
mean,
slaughter them.
first and foremost, I'd
Anakin's
like to
immediate response to a child asking for help.
oh, man. Master
Um
Skywalker, they're wearing Punisher skulls. What do you want us to do? Bzzz.
So I do want to take a moment though. So the actor who played White Tiger, Kamar De Los Reyes.
Yes.
So I didn't know who he was before, and when I found out he had
I
passed
didn't either.
away, like, I feel like I watched. I didn't know that when I watched the first two. So watching the third one and seeing him in jail, and Matt promising, like, I'm gonna get you out, and he's like, you're gonna see Puerto Rico one more time, and this guy's
Oh,
actually from
man.
Puerto Rico in real life.
Yeah.
So in watching that scene, I'm just thinking, like, how heartbreaking is this? That, like, what situation would he rather be in?
Yeah.
And it's just, I
Yeah.
mean, but the guy did a fantastic job, and
He
knowing
really
that he
did.
was sick at
Again,
the
like, I
time, like,
mean, like,
yeah,
when
look
he's
at the
given
pain on his face.
his testimony, and then to really I thought it was really cool, like, once he really leaned into the fact that he was, White Tiger and was out, all of the cop testimonies of him rushing in there and saving lives and saving cops, and,
Doing
it kinda
citizens
ties
arrests with the cops.
right, and I thought it was great, and, people heard Officer Morales. Now, I know that's a big thing going on right now, Officer Morales.
Morales
However,
is a very common last name.
very common last name, number 1. Number 2, Miles Morales' dad is actually last
Jefferson
name is Derek
Davis.
Jefferson Davis,
But
yeah.
he does at some point change his last name to
He
Morales.
did. There's a story arc where he took his mother's name, but, he absolutely did crush the role as White Tiger. I
He
would
took his
have liked
wife's
it
name.
that's what I meant, sorry.
Miles' mom.
I would have liked to see more of him as White Tiger, but,
Yeah.
under the circumstances, but that brings me up to my next piece is they
Read
focused
my
on
book.
his niece, Angela, who takes, the mantle of White Tiger. So based on the story, there's a three arc series in 2003, starting with Daredevil issue 40, written by Brian Michael Bendis. The art was by Terry Dodson.
Ooh, I
Essentially,
saw Brian Michael Bendis in the credits.
yeah. So Hector gets shot as he attempts to escape custody, right when his innocence is proven, and this happens in Daredevil issue number 40. And so essentially, what happens is a 3-issue arc where Luke Cage and Danny Rand, the Immortal Iron Fist,
Ugh.
asked Matt, who's having his own legal problems at the time, to represent Hector, who was accused of killing a cop during a breaking up a pawn shop robbery in the Bronx. And so he gets, Hector gets killed as his innocence is getting proven. That's when his niece Angela picks up the amulet and becomes the White Tiger. And now they focused as they were painting to his wife, but the girl next to him, he said they live with his niece, or his
They
sister,
did focus
and
on her
niece.
face,
They
yeah.
focused on her,
The
and
niece is,
so
Angela Del Toro. You
take it
said that
away.
right.
Yes, why don't you give us a little backstory there? I'm giving you a solo shot for this one.
This is my handy dandy Marvel encyclopedia. This is where I begin most of our comic book origin episodes. So after her uncle Hector passed away, she was actually an FBI agent, and she did inherit the tiger amulet, like Matt just said. And that, of course, gave her powers. So she fought against the Yakuza, who Matt fought against a lot in
Mm,
the
it's
Netflix series.
season 1 or 2.
Yeah, 2, but they were
Yeah,
in 1 as well, but yeah, 2 was, like, the prominent one with Elektra and everything. So that's
yeah.
the International Criminal Organization. Um, well, she fought Yakuza and brought down the international criminal organization called the Chai. Later, Lady Bullseye actually killed her and then brought her back to life as an unwilling assassin for the hand. That sounds familiar, like Elektra. So Hector's sister Ava became the latest White Tiger and joined Sunspot's Avengers team, eventually freeing Angela from the hand's influence. She is unrelated to the White Tiger created by the High Evolutionary or to the New York City vigilante associated with the Black Panther. So apparently there's a
Alright.
lot of them going on. But yeah, so the amulets grant enhanced strength, agility, and training in martial arts. We did talk about that on our last episode. And after Ava freed her niece from the hand, she and Angela fought side by side against the new Revengers.
Oh.
So there's just some little fun facts.
Yeah, and it was great. I'm curious how they go. And again, the 3 issue, the 3 little mini arcs that we're getting in this, I think is going to be great. I do love also in the courtroom initially, Matt and that cop kind of have that face to face. He's like, "Oh man, what happened there?" And I'm blind, I can't see. And the way
He
Matt
like
plays up the
runs into
blindness,
him.
yeah, the way that Matt plays up in the blindness, and
Like, oh, you're a blind lawyer who knows how to
he's like, "A
fight.
blind lawyer knows how to fight." Interesting. He's like, and
I like how
basically says,
people
"I'll
think
see you
he's
in
not
court,
blind.
officer." I know.
Yeah.
and
I'll see you in court. That he should have been like, what is that supposed to mean? Is that a blind joke?
Well, the best part is, "Officer, do you know what a cure for a black eye is?" And he says, "Fast hands." Is something his dad used to say, a good boxing term. And I was like, "Damn, that's hilarious," because he's basically talking crap, being like, "I beat your ass, and I'm a blind guy. What are you gonna do? Out me in court?
I mean,
Why
they
were
held a
you
gun to
there?"
his head. Right. And
Well, exactly.
if
That
a
people are
doctor
like,
came
"What
in
was
and looked
Matt?"
at his pupils, they're like, yeah, this guy's blind.
Well,
Like,
that's what I'm
you
saying.
can't fake lack of pupil dilation. I don't think.
Everybody's, "How is Matt? How did the cop not? How did Matt get away from that?" I'm like, okay, so what are they gonna do? How are they gonna explain? Matt even pointed it out. How are you gonna explain that you're going after this witness?
That was my
You know?
question, actually. I was like, well, how are they going to wrap
Well,
this
there was
up?
people
The guy
on the
gets a
interwebs.
gun.
It's like, how are they gonna do that? How do you explain going after the witness and then a blind guy beating the life out of 2 cops? That
It would
doesn't
have
go
been
over
funny
well.
though
Yeah,
if they right. And it's like, well, why were you there in the first place? Yeah.
exactly. Even though the guy didn't end up turning, which that's so
You would
stupid.
think there'd be some documentation for a CI for their own protection. Like if the cop that they're and I don't know anything about how this actually goes down.
Well,
My
I don't
only
either.
knowledge of CIs is like from Dexter. But like if
I'm
something
not a
happens to that
cop. I swear I'm
the
not a cop.
but like if you have it all off the books and you're only talking to that person and God forbid something happens to that person, then the CI is just it's just their word against anybody
It
else. Like that
happened
doesn't
in
seem fair.
Departed, all right? I mean,
Oh, such a good
Leonardo
movie.
was a rat, and then Matt and Damon went in there and erased everything, so
Dude,
that's probably what happened.
spoilers. That was a
Man,
great
the movie's
movie.
only been out for, like, 20 years, man, and
Such yeah,
still
but
not
that's
over
one that
that.
every generation should watch because it's so
Oh,
good.
yeah.
And that scene when he comes out and you're just like, "What just happened? I didn't
Right
see
off
that
the elevator.
coming."
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
exactly. So you need to
oh,
document this stuff. Somebody else should
but
know.
I
It's
think
gotta
that's
be
what
a trail, but
happened
it's
is
for their
they were keeping
protection,
it
I
under
guess.
wraps. That's what it made it seem like, is they were kinda keeping it under wraps in some form, but even the attorney there didn't know anything, and then I liked when the
Oh, what do you call
judge
Matt? A big pile
uh,
of shit or something or
so he was,
right?
"See, I'm gonna bury you're not even gonna be able to do DUIs
Yeah,
or
he says
whatever."
you can't do traffic court without
That's
the
what it was,
attorney
yeah.
giving you shit. But no, when they first walked in, he called him something of like a
I don't
pile of shit
remember.
or something. It was really
It was
funny.
funny though because
Like he was mad.
well, yeah, I mean, I get it, but and then to get the jury to go, I thought they were for sure they're gonna say guilty because they give you that pause and you're like, "Oh, wow, they're still gonna say guilty." To get the non-guilty and that sigh of relief that just didn't last long
The
at
fact of the matter,
all.
and one thing he didn't bring up in his closing argument, he was focusing on the character of him. you murder has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. It's literally their word versus his word.
Right
So
here.
there's
This is what it
there's
is. Slippery
no
little shit. There we go.
slippery little shit. There you go. Thank
That's what it
you.
was. Shout out. Thank you. Muscles in the multiverse. Thanks, man. I appreciate coming in the clutch. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, beyond a reasonable doubt is very hard to prove, and literally all they're like, "Yeah, he did it. I saw."
I would say like where the somebody asked actually why there are no CCTV cameras down there. First of all, it's New York City and it's in America. If there's cameras down there, they don't work. All right. Let's just be honest. Like, come on. But going kind of from the court case sequences to actually to wrap up the court case, let's talk about Heather and Matt in his apartment, how he's cooking, and they pull out the old Melviny, where he basically was like, we haven't broken this out in a while, is from winning court cases. And she brings up
Mm,
Foggy, and she was like, I was wondering when you were going to bring him up. And it gets that little sadness that, hey, Foggy's still there. She's kind of talking to him as his girlfriend, but also a little therapy side of things. And it's
I
that
was glad that
connection
she did
to
that,
him.
though.
Yeah.
But also, as an audience member, one of the things I can't stand in shows is when a prominent character passes away and they mourn him for one episode and move on with their life. And so
Or they completely forget about him. Yeah,
yeah,
like, and I'm
I
glad they didn't do that.
right. Like, Foggy should get a mention every episode. Like,
Absolutely,
even
and
if it's just something simple like a Nelson and Murdoch stationery or something, like, yeah.
just a big old Foggy portrait hanging up in Matt's
And we didn't
house.
see Karen at all. I thought we would
No,
see
I
more
don't think
Karen.
we're really gonna see Karen. So, essentially what seems to have happened with the filming of this show is it was largely scrapped. So, they kept a lot of the middle pieces, the middle parts. So essentially, episodes 1 and 2 were redone, and then it was originally going to be 7 episodes, and then they added 8 and 9. So they reshot 8 and 9. They did a lot with for 1 and 2, which you can kind of tell with the opening 15 minutes of episode 1. It
Was
feels kind of
stuck.
different. It was great, but it was
Well, it
different. You
seemed
know what
like
I'm saying?
it was net it was the Netflix show.
Well, what I'm thinking, the rumors were essentially Karen and Foggy weren't going to be in this at all. There's going to be zero
Right,
mention
and
of Karen and
Vincent
Foggy at
D'Onofrio
all.
was talking about that. He's like, "No, that the show wouldn't be this show without
Which I don't understand how you even approach that without
them."
the way we left season 3 to bring him back into the MCU. If it's a continuation, that's a whole other argument. But so episodes 1 and 2 and episodes 8 and 9 were the ones that were pretty much redone. Everything in the middle was largely untouched. So I think Muse was
I
essentially
cannot
going to
wait to
be the
see
bad
Muse.
guy of this series. And I think they brought Bullseye and Karen and Foggy in
They
to,
had to wrap up the Bullseye story. Like, they ended it with a cliffhanger
yeah,
at the end of season 3. They had to do something with that. But, like, in New York when they came out, because I was at the panel. I know, Matt, you've heard this a million times, but it's also fun to say because it was probably the highlight of
Francisco.
being at the con for me, like, even more so than getting to do the press rooms, was because it was just supposed to be a Comic-Con panel with Charles Soule and Frank
Right.
Miller, and that was pretty much it. And then they kept bringing people out, and then they surprise brought out Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, and that's when they announced the date the show was coming out, and they played the trailer. But even before they came out, they were talking about the comic coming out, and they were focusing on Muse. And then they gave everybody a reprint, the one I showed last week of Daredevil Born Again, and it was the Muse storyline. So and then they showed the trailer, and Muse was the main person in the trailer. We're now 3 episodes in, and we haven't seen him at all.
Well,
I do
okay.
think we've
I
seen
think
him,
we've seen him, and then, as I'm
but
gonna
we
pull
don't
this
know
up
that
real
we've seen
quick,
him.
it's
Right, he was the
ignore
creepy
him.
guy with the book.
Well, so one of
Yes,
the
and we're seeing art.
theories out there is that a lot of the artwork that perhaps Muse was
Oh,
behind
the
the
one with
artwork here.
Fisk with, like, the halo
Well,
and
that
Matt
was
with
definitely because we saw a figure
the devil,
drawing
that was cool.
Fisk. I think a lot of the artwork is Muse, and there's a lot of theories out there that maybe this had to do with. I don't necessarily think Muse did this one. I think it just is more of a play on the whole cop situation that's going on. That's kind of how I think about it. Again, because look at the cops are obviously adopting the Punisher
Maybe he
logo,
wrote
as we see with
"triggered"
this.
over it.
First of all, like a neck tat for the cop right here of the Punisher logo, interesting move. But I'm not a cop. I'm not a cop. I don't know.
I thought it
Whatever.
was
And
interesting
we've
too.
definitely my theory is still that Muse was the kid that asked for therapy from Heather.
Mhm.
That's still my
I agree.
theory. And so I think now in episode 4 on, we're going to really start getting into Muse because Matt's going to get back into the suit. It's going to kind of go from there. Now,
I cannot wait to see Matt take that
something else,
stupid monkey suit off and put on the
yeah,
Daredevil suit.
I do want to bring up now is Vanessa and Wilson Fisk. So we
Dude,
see
loving
the
her.
two people in the
I
truck.
loving
She's a
her so much
boss.
more
She's
now.
a boss ass bee. You know what I'm
She was
saying?
cleaning
She
the
really
money
is.
with her art. That was genius. She took an area she knew, and that's how she was cleaning the money.
She's smart.
Ugh, she is smart.
And you can tell she doesn't believe that Wilson's really. I fully
She's
believe that.
irritated.
Well, I think Wilson literally is trying to do right. Although they did focus on his knuckles as they transitioned into Matt's knuckles, right?
Mhm.
And that's something they don't do enough is show like Matt's knuckles were all bruised and scabbed, and they never gloss. They just gloss over that in fighting shows. But Wilson's
With
were
him there, I was
beat
just
up.
blaming because he's blind, he fell. He
Yeah,
ran into something.
which is a great
This
cover.
poor guy. He's constantly running into stuff.
Great cover, first of all. But
Right. He's really
I
running into
mean,
people's
Wilson
faces with
had
his
his
fist.
knuckles were all bruised up and things, and so I think obviously we're gonna find out that he probably killed Adam there because Vanessa got lonely. That's what I think happened.
Oh, that makes sense.
She, I think, isn't buying that she's frustrated because I don't think she
She thinks he's
buys
full of
that.
it.
Yeah, and then also, she thinks he's dumb because but in my opinion, I think Fisk wants the all-out war because then he wants to go in as the mayor and sweep through New York City and clean it up that way and then show that he can do it without vigilantes. He wants an all-out war between the gangs so that way he can pass his
Right.
anti-vigilante law because then he can show that, hey, we don't need vigilantes to clean up these streets because when I was a boy, my trauma got healed by my
By staring at
pseudo
the wall.
daughter who touched my eyeball with her powers and now I'm healed.
Oh,
So,
Maya. I'm like, "You have
yeah, remember
daughters?"
at the end of Echo, she
Yeah.
healed him.
And he's like, "What did you do to me?" She's like, "Let go of your anger."
You don't have trauma anymore, Wilson, but the trauma made me strong. You wouldn't understand. And, and it is also his omelet. He doesn't make the big omelet that we see in the Netflix series. For a big man, he eats very little when he eats. And I'm very curious how that works because
Well,
I'm
it's just
fat and
breakfast.
I just want to eat. Yeah, but he has like one piece of asparagus in this tiny sad omelet. Come on, I don't know. They even recast his omelet. I don't know what to tell you. But they're sitting on
Matt
that
did
very
say well,
far.
yeah, and they recast the hammer and everything.
Well, he was packing on muscle though. He
Yeah,
mentioned.
Matt said he, could tell he weighed less and had more
Well,
muscle.
Vincent said that as the season goes on, you see him get bigger and bigger.
Ah,
So
so they're gonna pat him back up.
I think so, more muscular. I'm curious, but it definitely feels as though his anger is simmering. You can see it at times, and I love that he's toying with the cops. That's probably one of my favorite things right now is he's messing with the cops. He wants to do right, so he's trying to give things to the cops. Now, what's going on in your opinion with BB Urich?
Why he called her
Well, no,
to report it out?
does she not know that he
I
killed
don't think she
Ben?
knows that he
So
killed
what's her
Ben.
play behind
I think
wanting
if
to
she
be with
did,
the
she'd be too
Fisk?
scared to go in there. I wouldn't, and she was way too calm and collected.
But
I
I
think
don't
she's
know,
just
they
a
lingered
young
on her
kid
face
who's
a little
got
bit.
those, reporter tendencies like her uncle. I think it's just kinda one of those things, he may have inspired her. Because 'cause I'm sure the full story like, were they ever able to prove that Fisk was the one that killed Ben? I don't think so.
They never mentioned it again, actually. Other than,
Right,
I mean, they did, but they never mentioned like the investigation or what happened to him. It was more of
right.
just he's dead.
Well,
Okay, move
Karen
on.
knows. Fisk flat out
Oh
told
yeah,
Karen, I
Karen
think at the
knows.
end of season 3, I believe.
But in the
Yes.
episode
Yeah. Because
where
then she says,
BB,
"I killed Wesley."
they kind of lingered on her face, and it seemed like she had kind of made a face. Maybe I'm reading into it. So a part of me, I feel like something more is there that we're not being told yet.
Oh,
I
I'm sure,
guess.
otherwise, why would they have it be her?
And
But
then
I
what's up with Gandolfini? Because they keep showing him having this weird reaction towards the other
I
political
think
campaign
he's just a
lady.
fanboy. I think that's all he is. I think he's just a young,
You're
impressionable
probably
pretty
right.
boy.
These are my Mephisto theories from
I
WandaVision.
wouldn't be
I'm down.
surprised if he doesn't make it out of the season. He might end up, he's not the mob boss's son in this. He might end up sleeping
He's
with the
the son
Fishes.
Fisk never had. Oh, actually, timeout. As
Maybe.
I'm
Maybe
making
he'll
a
be
joke.
Maya's replacement.
Okay, thank you. I was just gonna say, as I'm over here making a joke as Wilson Fisk, when they go back to the Matt and Wilson's talk about having kids, what if this is somebody he sees as a son and kind of grooms him to be his underling as he leans back into this underworld of crime.
He does seem to like that he's like a
He
fanboy.
does. Well, I mean, he's stroking his ego, right? He's there to gas Wilson up at the same time. So I think he really likes that, because he doesn't have Vanessa, but they have a sweet moment where Vanessa talks about, hey, you remember the painting that she liked.
Yeah. He's like, of course I remember. She's like, well, we could have cleaned a lot of money with that.
We could have done a lot with that. And it's God dang it, Vanessa. Do you have to keep going back to this? But again, she's a boss, dude. She took over the family business. She wanted to be in this world. She got her hands dirty with Nadine, and Wilson, you can't flip flop on your woman's like that. All right. You sent her away for a long time, and then you ditched her again. The second she gets back, she watches you get your ass beat by a blind guy. Let's be honest. It was embarrassing for everybody. And so now she took over and she even talks about how she made the business very lucrative. I'm wondering, I'm very intrigued by their marital counseling and how it's going to involve Heather, I guess. Pat's in the chat. What's up, Pat? Hey, man, we're out here. We're just theorizing. We're talking, no big deal or nothing like that. Speaking of theories, did you notice? I was kind of looking this one up. Apparently, there is a bus stop ad of the Pingo Dose or Dose, the soda from the Hulk in 2008. There's an ad in this
really?
episode. Yeah, they sell it
Oh,
at
that
Avengers Campus.
Stanley
But
drink
apparently,
that
there's a bus
had
stop. Yeah, there was a bus stop
Bruce's
ad of
blood.
this.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun. I didn't see that. Before we do these, I try
Again,
not to watch other reviews because I don't want it to accidentally steal.
I'm on
somebody's
Reddit all the time.
opinion.
So is Reddit always right? No, but I'm going to take it as gospel anyways because it's Reddit. Would the internet ever lie to me? Yes, actually, it would. But
Yes, yeah. Especially with all the AI weird stuff going on now.
oh God, yeah. Oh my God, it's every day. What? At least we're not selling Teslas out front of Matt's law firm yet. So hopefully that never comes. Maybe that's coming soon. I don't know.
A car dealership in the middle of New York City.
Oh God, yeah, because that's gonna work out. I didn't realize actually in New York, I saw a TikTok, if you will. Again, would the internet ever lie to me? They on certain days you have to move your car to the other side of the street, so people are
Yeah,
lined up to move their cars. That's so weird to me.
because they
Why
have
would
to
I
clean
wouldn't?
the street. I don't know.
Okay, so why do you even own a car in New York? Again, why own a vehicle in New York City? I don't know.
Sometimes you want to drive farther places.
But I guess the alternative is to finally get a studio apartment for you and your wife, go to leave flowers there to surprise her, and then stumble upon a couple of cops beating down an informant, and then you stop them, and the next thing you know, you're getting shot in the head. So really, it's a lose-lose. Which would you rather do? Would you rather
I'd rather have a car.
be on trial for killing a cop or have to move your car every day in New York City?
Oh, shit. Am I guaranteed to get off?
I mean, you'll get off, but you'll probably get shot in the head. There's no guarantees we can
well,
save
I'm not
you.
going to put my vigilante outfit back on. At least change up the vigilante outfit. Like, does he have to? He just has to have the amulet. He could have put on, like, I don't know, not white. He could have become like a normal colored tiger.
I do want to bring that back up as we circle back around to the fact that you just got off trial. You've probably been in jail a little while, but if we're realistic, you've left your wife because you've been in jail a while. Why are you not staying home? To stay home one night.
That's where he feels the best is when he's white tiger. So also though, because I don't know how much of this they're actually pretending it happened in the show, but remember when we did the comic book origin, when he would put on the white tiger costume at first and then take it off, he would have withdrawals. So it might have been one of those things where he needed
to put
it back
did.
on.
Oh, that's a good point.
They don't go into that at all in the show. I don't even know if that's real in the show.
Maybe they'll go into it with his niece if they dive into her a lot. I feel like she's going to be a season 2 plot point of sorts.
She's going to be in the Young Avengers.
Oh God. Are we ever getting that? Is that a thing? Is that happening? Who knows? I actually, okay. So my next point is, does he not have any senses at all when he's roaming the streets as White Tiger? Cause my man was just walking casually down on the sidewalk and then he gets rolled up on. So I guess
he heard yelling. So I feel like they used someone as bait.
I get the yell and I guarantee you, yeah, probably.
Maybe it was Bullseye.
I mean, well, I think we're going to get Bullseye later on in the season. I really do. But I guess my big question though is, does he not have any senses as a tiger? Shouldn't tigers have senses? If you're calling yourself a tiger, shouldn't you have like this hearing sense that you can hear somebody rolling up
Maybe,
on
but
you?
let's say the tiger's focused on prey and they heard the prey and they're going towards the prey,
That
and
man was
then
walking like he was going to the bodega.
it was like, "Ha,
He wasn't
ha,
focused
ha,
on
ha,
anything, okay? He
staying
was
alive,
back in the white
staying alive."
tiger costume.
It was a little bit like that, but the person did come out of the middle of the alley, and you know what? You hear a lot of noises in New York City. You can't,
Okay,
you
fair.
know, he
Last
doesn't have
question.
mat senses.
What
Okay.
about the fact that his amulet is on the outside of his costume? What if he's in a fight? What if did they not just,
Somebody
hey,
took it
yoink,
off.
white tiger for a
It's
vigilante? I
like
don't really.
Ariel's voice.
He's
Just
not.
rip it off and throw it
He's
on the
not
ground.
very. I'm not to speak ill of the dead, but there's just a lot of holes there, I guess. But
Well, I
it's
don't
a
think he
TV
had a very
show.
big run with White Tiger. I don't think he's been around that long.
Matt, come on. It's a TV show, man. Like he's a comic book character. Can't you just be happy? I will be happy because I think we're getting Muse starting next, and that makes me happy because if we're watching superheroes get shot point blank in the head, what are they going to do with Muse, who likes to paint with body parts?
Ugh.
I just hate that we have to wait a week. Are you still
Mm,
okay with that? Or because people I've seen on the internet, people are saying that the week to week release is ruining the flow of the show. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think it's all preference. If you really feel that way, then just wait to watch them. I know it's hard to not get spoilers now, but I don't have
Right.
a problem with it because
I
otherwise I
don't
would
either.
end up having no sleep like 2 nights in a row just because I would end up wanting to watch it all.
Well, that's the thing too, is you binge everything right away. Say we binge 9 episodes, that's 9 hours of TV, and then it's over. You forget about it really fast, and then
I
who
wish
knows?
they would do too, though. Right, because you had Wanda, nobody would have been talking about Mephisto every week if they had released
Yeah,
all 6 episodes at once,
you wouldn't
yeah.
have the theories. The theories are what bring us together, okay, man? We get to theorize, and then we all get to laugh at how stupid we are because Mephisto is never coming, okay? All
He's
right?
gonna show up eventually,
He's gotta. Hey, if we
but
say
I
it
feel
10
like
times and he shows up that one time and we're finally right, I'm telling
it's
you what.
I feel like that you know what? It's probably funny
He
because,
shows
like,
up
it's
in
become such,
Daredevil.
like, a joke, but that would be funny, Devil in Hell's Kitchen. What if the
He
devil
shows up
shows
in
up in Hell's
Daredevil to
Kitchen?
bring Foggy back from witness protection.
But just the f I don't think that Marvel thought that this was gonna become such, like, a highly speculative, character that's gonna show up one day, but, like, he's gotta show up eventually, but now they probably have to be so careful about how they do it because not obviously everybody's not happy about anything, but
I thought for sure he was coming in Agatha, but obviously he didn't.
they said his name though, which
I
means he
know.
exists
I
in that
know.
universe.
That's what I'm saying. I
So
thought for sure my man's was gonna show up, but
but
I
I
guess
feel like they can't have him show up now in a time that we expect it. It has to
no,
be completely, like,
it does.
unexpected. But what was the question? I forgot
I
what you
don't
were saying.
remember now. I don't know. I think we've covered just about everything on this episode.
Oh,
It,
that's
oh,
it, yes, and it was a short episode. So I'm okay with the
it
week to
didn't feel
week.
short.
But last week, I felt like I got to sit there for the length of a whole movie, and it was lovely, and it was very
Oh, it was.
exciting, and I was okay when it's time to turn off. This week, I was like, "Ugh, that's it?"
Well,
So
especially the way it ended. I just sat there and I audibly gasped and I said, "What the f?" And Carrie was like, "Oh, the tree frogs," and I was like, "Not now, woman. I'm in mourning." And I just
woman.
sat there like, "Did they just do that?" I sat there in silence, and she was like, "What do you want to watch now?" My eyelids, I guess, because I don't know. I can't recall. That was the
Honestly, it ends, and then it, like, recommends Daredevil, and I'm like, "I just wanna go
It
watch
did. It
Daredevil
brings me
again."
to Daredevil, episode 3 or season 3, episode 13. I do believe week to week is the best. I really do for these kinds of things because it builds the hype.
But
I
I
love the hype.
wish we
I
got a
want the hype,
little bit
but I
more.
also want it all right
I need 2 at
now.
a time. I
You will get 2 for episode 8 and 9. It wraps
I
up with
know,
2.
I know.
Just enjoy what we have. I'm glad Daredevil's back. Again, Daredevil has become my favorite Marvel superhero. Daredevil has become my favorite Marvel property. It really has. This and I think Marvel hopefully will show and see that this is the right format to go with their shows. So hopefully we start
Yeah,
getting 8,
6
9
episodes
episodes.
wasn't cutting it.
I truly hope they start to go in for certain characters. Not every character needs to have somebody shot in the head. By no means. Could you imagine? It's I don't know what's the most Squirrel Girl and Squirrel Girl's walking down the road and then somebody gets shot in the head. No, you don't need it for that. For example, But when you do have these more mature storylines, I'm glad that they're growing and not shying away from doing that. And so I
Mhm.
hope Marvel sees that, hey, 45-minute episodes, 8, 9 episodes, or,
But 45 minutes of the show, not 45 minutes with 15 minutes
right.
of
That's what I'm
credits.
saying. Like, it's
It's
actually
always like such a
45-minute
tease.
episodes, 45 to an hour, because the first episode, Daredevil, was 57 minutes. And so I hope they see that that's the case. And I think this is going to prove and show that they can change their TV up to be longer form with more episodes in a season. Probably no Mephisto until they get around to Ghost Rider and Midnight Suns. I
That
mean,
makes sense.
Blade's been talked about for 16 years at this point,
It was
and
only ever gonna
Ghost
be one
Rider.
fate.
I mean, I am surprised that we don't have a Midnight Suns in the works. We've got Kit Harington, who was Black Knight. We could easily pull Ghost Rider from Agents of Shield, because they had what's his name, Phil Coulson, posted a picture of him saying hell yes or something like that as Phil Coulson. I know it's not his name in real life,
Well,
I'm sorry. Or Greg, sorry, excuse
great,
me.
yeah. But,
But then
Ghost Rider
Blade
did
might
show up in Agents.
that's what I'm saying is Agents of Shield, we had Ghost Rider. Pull him
Yeah.
back because I thought he was great. I mean, Blade might eventually come around. You had Black Knight in the Eternals, who will never probably see
I
a
think
single Eternal again.
Mephisto should show up as something random, like She-Hulk season 2. I don't know, just like
If we ever get, yeah,
I'd be
it's
shocked if we got a season 2 of She-Hulk, but
I don't even know what show. It's Punisher's special presentation. He's fighting Mephisto. It's what? Huh? Kevin, are you okay?
it should
Are
be
you
a
okay,
Halloween
Kevin?
special. I don't know.
I'm just
But
saying there's
they gotta surprise us though, and it still has to make sense. So, glad that's not my responsibility.
I don't know. You're right. But I have a lot of good ideas. I just wish I could talk to Kevin for 5 minutes, then maybe 10. I got a lot of ideas. And be like, hey man, this is what we should be doing. We really want to get the people going again.
Future Hofsky News guest Kevin Feige.
Welcome to the show, Kevin Feige. Now, Kevin, this is actually going to be me telling you what you should be doing with your biggest
He's like,
franchise
"Oh, great, I'm used to this. Go
in
ahead."
cinematic history. But maybe he likes what I have to say. I don't know.
You
Between that
never
and Star
know.
Wars, I got all the good ideas. I'm just saying. I have nothing else. This
Well,
episode was great. I'm really enjoying Daredevil.
it was
Daddy
my least
Porter, what's
favorite
up,
of
my
the 3, but
dudes?
it was still good.
Survivor, Amazing Race, The Challenge. Dude, you're forgetting about. Come on, man. You're forgetting about the Deal or No Deal Island. The finale's next week. Is
Oh
David going
my
to take the
goodness.
cake? Who's taking the cake? I hope it's David. I
There's
love
cake
David.
in this?
No,
Is it
it's
cake?
not cake. Actually, it's weird. On Deal or No Deal Island, they actually, the thing that they give the people to drink all the time is iced tea.
Why?
I don't know. I don't like tea. I
Do they
would
get water?
dehydrate. Yes, Deal or No Deal Island. Go to Peacock, Joe Manganiello. It's 2 seasons. The second season is about to wrap up next week. They probably give them water, but it's Deal or No Deal.
There's
Again, I've
water
told this
iced
so many
tea.
times. All
Is
right.
it
I don't drink
sweet
tea. I would
tea?
die out there.
I
So
mean,
it's
I enjoy
basically
tea, but I don't
you
wanna
have
drink
these
iced
people
tea
that
all
that
day.
start on the island. They do challenges, and the bottom 2 are at risk to playing the banker. If you play the banker, you it's Deal or No Deal at that point. And if you make a bad deal, so you have less in your case than what was up on the board or in the last case or whatever, you lose. You're out the game. But if you make a good deal, so you'll have more money, you come out on top with more money from the Deal or No Deal portion, then you get to vote somebody out. So it's like Survivor and Deal or No Deal mashed together. It's like they had a baby, and it's really fun. And I'm telling you, Deal or No Deal Island. All right, we just hit 1,000 on YouTube. Oh my god,
What?
yes, we did it. We did it.
How does DT
Thank you,
know that?
DT. Thank
Did
you,
he
DT.
just get us it?
I
Now
was
I'm
about to
curious.
have to go in there and make 16 different, emails tomorrow and subscribe if nobody did it. So
Oh my gosh, I see it, 1,000.
we did. We hit
We never thought
1,000.
it would happen.
We really hit
Holy
1,000.
cow.
As we were talking, it's fitting that Matt was on a rant about Deal or No Deal Island, and Lauren was like, "Please God, make it stop." As we hit 1,000 on a Daredevil focused episode. But speaking of Daredevil, we did just release our Daredevil comic book origin. So if you want to know more about the character, please, by all means, Hops Geek News on every single podcast platform. Now, speaking of our good man DT over at Space Castle, we are going to record with him tomorrow night because it is the 35th anniversary of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
35th? Why did I
Came
think it
out
was 25th?
Lauren, it came out in 1990. Oh my God.
Dang.
Okay.
In the words of Raphael, damn.
We are recording that episode tomorrow night with our good friend DT, and that's going to drop for you on Monday, where we are going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, take a little departure, but each and every week we will be live here talking about recapping the episodes of Daredevil that of Born Again. So it might not be Wednesday. We'll let you know ahead of
You
time.
never know. We have to
Again,
play it by ear.
we got families, and I got a boy. And so essentially hit that notification button, man. We are 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I really appreciate that. It makes me happy. My mom never told me she was proud of me, so I just want to say that I feel like I finally got some justification for my existence on this earth. And
Much better than murdering people in the streets in cold blood
that's
like
right.
this.
It'll either
Although
be
Fisk's mom loved him, it was just his dad was bad.
true. It'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday. We don't really know, but follow us on social media. Check out our episodes. Go listen to DT on Space Castle. Check out the Badger Report coming from our friend Daddy Porter over there. We're going to be on there this year. We got a lot of good things coming down the pipe for you guys. And then nerdinitiative.com. We just dropped hella new comic book day reviews. I picked up, for example,
yeah, Welcome to Twilight. Oh my gosh.
gosh, there's a lot. I read Redcoat number 10 from Ghost Machine Image Comics. The Moon is Following Us
Wolverine.
number 7 from Image Comics. Helverine from Marvel and Ben Percy, which I've become a fan of, and Alien Paradiso number 4, for example, has the gnarliest alien kill in franchise history, in my opinion, almost.
Mm.
And I'm saying that boldly. I will. And Star Wars Legacy of Vader 2, if you're a fan like I am of prequels, and this takes you back to kind of that prequel era of they bring back the pod racing, they bring back some other stuff. Yeah, a lot of good comic books out there. Make sure you visit your local comic book shop. Let us know what you're picking up. Check out our reviews. Yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was huge, and it's proof that you can put them in practical suits and not CGI, Michael Bay, you piece of trash. And it still holds up today. I just watched it tonight.
There was one comment that didn't hold up, but yeah, more on that.
We'll
on
talk about it.
Monday.
And Justin Hammer was actually, if this
That's
is
so
your
good.
4 degrees of MCU, Justin Hammer was in that movie. But we'll talk about it more. You got to find it on Monday. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks everybody for hanging out and hitting that 1,000. Yay, we did it.